Woohoo!
Good morning, this is your captain speaking. The track conditions are typical Eiffel weather.
Good morning and welcome to Scuderia S7 sector training. I will be today your beloved instructor. My name is Misha Charoudin, if you didn't know. All the jokes aside, one of the things I miss about my early Nürburgring life is instructing people. Nowadays I'm too busy doing all kinds of other things, but today I have a great opportunity to share my Nürburgring knowledge and love for the track with Scuderia S7 participants. Scuderia S7 is an amazing course that allows people to learn the Nürburgring, because the main challenge of the Nürburgring Nordschleife is of course its length, and the track is being split up in different sections, and basically the groups, the instructors and their groups do continuous sector training. So the track is being split up in multiple sections and you keep doing that section and then you move on to the next part. I'm extremely excited because we'll be doing some track walks, guided laps, and after that, at the end, there is also going to be an exam, not for the lap time, but for the consistency. The participants will have to do one lap and then replicate their lap time on their second lap. Today, we have the perfect instructor vehicle, my beloved GT3 Taxi. Although today, we will not be using any of the downforce needed. However, the cool thing about Scuderia S7 is that on both days, participants will have opportunity to do some free laps. Today in the evening and tomorrow on the second day in the afternoon, there is a 2 hours of free driving. So maybe we'll go for some fast laps. All right, enough talking, let's get started. And our group will actually be starting at the end of the track because the other sections will be done by other groups. But for the sake of this video, we're gonna start actually at the start. So we're now on the very first section that starts from T13 all the way to Schwedenkreuz, and we're gonna have a look at one of the most challenging portions of the track, and this is actually the Hatzenbach curb. So let's have a look. Welcome to our very first track walk to Hatzenbach section. We are here on the curb, but I would say it's actually not the most interesting or exciting curb. The most important one is actually where the car is standing. My personal take on this is I do like to take it when I'm in full race mode during racing, but today we are not racing. And especially when it's wet, you should absolutely stay off it. Should we go there and have a look at that one? Taking off the curb might give you an advantage to position yourself more to the right, to have a better turn in to the curbstone over here. The problem, however, is the drop from the curb. Quite often what happens, if you go for the curb, you should commit. This section has been resurfaced this year, so it's a bit flat, but if you looked at it how it was last year, there was a massive ditch in there because most of the cars were going completely to the right. And why? If you're completely on the right, there is no drop. You're just going straight onto the tarmac. If you're more on the left, if you didn't commit yourself, you're gonna end up, first of all, over here. Now, everyone, if you go behind, have a look what happens when you go here. So I'm coming off with the car, and jump, your car drops. But when you look closer, the track goes up again. So while you're jumping down, you're bouncing off already because the track goes up. As you're bouncing and you're turning into the left, your car is steering understeering because your front axle is actually still in the air. And then you're like, oh shit, I missed the apex. I go on the brakes, then you understeer even more into the tire wall. If you commit on the curb, you commit proper. And remind yourself, it might go wrong. Because it's not a matter of if it's gonna go wrong, it will go wrong at some point. So be prepared in the back of your mind, like if the car bounces, slow down, relax, smoothly on the brakes, not too much, so you will not understeer even more. Gather yourself, and then yeah, you miss maybe half a second or a second of a lap time. So again, in short, just avoid it. You don't lose much. Even when we are driving with our professional drivers in NLS or 24 hours, you stay off it. Also, especially in the wet, you're completely on the outside line. But if you go here, be prepared to do it completely like this, or be prepared how to act when the car bounces. This is why you should have quite a good suspension on the Nordschleife, and not only for the normal elevation changes, but also for situations like this. The final thing is when you look from here, you see the banking for the next corner. This gives lots of benefit, especially to rear-wheel driven cars, that you have extra grip in the corner. So once you're at the left curb, smash it on the gas and just open up, of course, to the end of the tire wall is a nice reference point where you want to aim to. So you go from the left curbstone, you run to the end of the tire wall, and then you go back to the left side to the 3 kilometer sign. That's another good reference point. The Nordschleife is the most used piece of asphalt in the world because we have here courses like today, we have industry pool, we have Touristenfahrt, we have track days, we have races, and especially after a season where there was no rain, there's a lot of rubber on it. So you want to avoid that. If the section has been resurfaced, you have roughly 2.5 years until you need to start using the wet line, because then you can use the dry line, and after that it's covered in rubber again. Then you just need to think like, okay, how much of the wet line do I need to use? Long story short, here, this is one of the oldest sections, not as old as Bergwerk, because that's older than most of the people here probably. You should really use the outside line. Let's go, all right. You can, for fun, on the way back, actually take the curb so you can feel how steep it is in this direction. And this will show you how much of a drop it is when you jump off it and how it unsettles the car. Ready, once everyone is turned around, we will start our first pass of Antoniusbuche all the way until Schwedenkreuz, pretty much. Quite a big section. All right, 3, 2, 1, let's go. At the orange barrier, start steering to the left curbstone. Be very gentle with your steering input and run very wide. Again, use as much track surface as possible. You position yourself maximum on the right and start steering to the left curb, but you aim for the right curb already. And now you start thinking, where am I going to be on the top? Turn in, brake straight line, let go, turn in, close to the barrier and brake in a straight line. You can take the curb if you want to. You can also stay off it. And then back left and stay left side. There's a blue traffic light, traffic sign, and that's a good turning point to the right barrier and running wide to the left side. Important here is to brake early before the orange barrier, before the crest, otherwise you might unsettle your ABS. Traffic light on the right is the turning point to the left curbstone, and then running wide to the right. And here it's also very important to be early on the gas because it's quite a straightaway. Right curbstone, 2 kilometer sign left, and from the sign to the right curbstone, close as possible and running wide. You can optionally use the rumble strip if you're really in full qualifying mode. Left curb, you can go completely to the right side, brake, let go, turn in to the left curb and brake again. Also here, you can use the curb. In the wet, even I do like to use the curb because it gives you extra grip. You grab it, hug it, and then yeah, end curb, right curb. See for yourself if you want to take the curb or not, to see what kind of line advantages it gives you. And then left curbstone, end of the tire wall, back to 3 kilometer sign left. You're staying left, relatively late turn in, keep turning long, and then the left curbstone on the gas to the outside and towards the middle of the track. On top, start steering close to the right barrier and uphill left part of the track. Position yourself maximum left. Use all of the track surface. Depending on the car and the speed, brake a bit, turn in. You use the same steering input and you just try to steer only with your throttle through here. Running wide, as you can see there is some dirt on the left because that's how wide the cars are getting. And we're gonna turn around. Alrighty, off we go. Orange barrier to the left curbstone and you start running wide already. There's a microphone pole, that's where you can aim at, or the orange barrier. Position yourself maximum to the right and you aim already to the top right curbstone. So left curb straight, right curb, and you keep steering past it to position yourself for the braking zone, and then close to the orange barrier. Then you have a nice straight and maximum track width. This time I'm not taking the curb, you steer in early so you can position yourself maximum left. Close to the right barrier, almost touching it, because it's a very narrow section, so you want to use as much of the track surface as possible. before orange barrier on the brake towards the traffic light. You can even go over the white line to gain a bit of more radius. We can try more of that on our next runs. Descent 2 kilometer sign, go very close to it, almost on the grass, because you again want to use as much of the tarmac as possible through this section. Straight to the right side, double braking, important to go on the brakes and let go when you steer in, and then brake again. Option to take the curb if you want to or not, but be always prepared here on the drop. There's lots of rubber and it's very slippery. Again, optional if you want to take the curb or not. And then left curb running wide to the end of the tire wall and back to the left side. Use much of the track surface as possible. Turn in, right curbstone, transition, left curb and right side. From here, just flat, flat, flat. It gives you a moment to think, to position yourself to the left side. Again, I prefer to brake a bit before the top because it allows you to put more pressure on the front axle, and then turn in. And at the right curb, at the first curb, you already go flat on the gas if the car is well set up. Otherwise, on the outside is a good point. Okay, so there are a couple of new things I would like to try on this pass. One of them is, before Sabine Schmitz, try to go behind the orange barrier over the white line to increase the radius for the turn-in, see how much you like it. And the second one, we take the exit curb on the tire wall, at the tire wall in Hatzenbach. Just slow at your own pace, just to feel how much extra space there is of the track. That's it, off we go. So turn in, left curb, aim for the microphones on the right or the orange barrier. You look at the top right curb already, so steering in a straight line, and you turn in and you're already thinking of the orange barrier. Brake, come close to the orange barrier. You have a nice straight from here to create the straight. And then back to the left side, blue traffic light, traffic sign turning to the right barrier. And from here you're gonna try to get behind the orange barrier to give you extra radius, and then turning. Alright, 2 kilometer sign. In the same position, you just lift or go on the brakes. Starts getting dry. Oh, the car slides a bit, so be cautious through there. Brake, let go. Brake again, turning in. Watch out, here is very slippy in this section. Right side, left side. Optionally take the curb or not, but important, try to use the exit curb just to feel out how much space there is. Late turn in, right curb, transition, left curb on the gas, using all of the track surface, middle of the track, right barrier, uphill left part. Close to the barrier, left side. Before the crest, I prefer to go early on the brakes, and then turn in the same steering angle. Find the steering angle that works for your car. And then when the car is loaded, in the corner, you just use the accelerator pedal gently to turn. You lift to put more weight on the front axle and have the bigger turn-in, or you go on the gas if that allows you to. This is the perfect opportunity to try things. That's why I'm also like really pushing you guys, like, okay, try the things that makes you not comfortable, because at these speeds you can see what kind of impact they already have to then later, to be prepared for them. And it was nice to try the curb in the opposite direction. You really feel like, oh, it's really big for the drop. So yeah, it's good to try the good things and the bad things. So yeah, now Schwedenkreuz, Vauxhall all the way to Kallenhardt. So lots of high-speed sections. Welcome to a beautiful section of the track. Why is it so beautiful? Because the sun is shining here and not other parts of the track. No, jokes aside. We are in Ardennes Forest, and the reason why we have chosen this particular section of the section, although Foxhole is quite exciting, but it's actually quite boring at the same time. It's just one-way straight, braking, turn in, make sure you don't mess up the curb, do not go on the curb. Be cautious through there because the off-banking with the new transition, it can really upset your car. Just be gentle through there. But here is, you could almost call it a YouTube corner, first of all, because everyone is going straight, because it's a blind corner. Although it's one of the slowest sections of the track, it's actually very important. The reason why this section is very important is because it leads up to a very long, straight, flat-out section. You will arrive at Metzgesveld in 5th gear, maybe 6th if you have a short ratio gearbox, but this means speeds of like close to 200 kilometers per hour. And the long straights are very important for lap times, qualifying. Therefore, having a good exit here is very important. And to get a good exit there, you start your homework already here for positioning. We have here like what, 4 instructors. I'm sure if we ask them what's the ideal line, you're gonna get 4 different answers. My line is quite funny through here, so gentlemen might disagree with me. What I like to do is to aim for the green graffiti over there, because it gives you a nice reference point. And the reason why I am 100% right is because behind me is a new barrier. And why is there a new barrier? Because someone went straight into it. This means that this is the ideal line. So you aim towards that, brake in a straight line, not too late or you're gonna be another reason for a new barrier there. And what I like to do is throw in the car completely to the left curbstone and end up maximum on the left, as close as possible to the curb, to then turn in, slam it on the gas and have a better acceleration point to the straightaway. The other thing is like some drivers, they make it like more of a straight line between the left curb and the exit curb. But for me, I prefer to be maximum on the left to have better exit, higher top speed at the end. And also this helps you with the exit towards the outside there, because then you're actually more straight and more confident. If you have more of a S-line, you need to keep on steering more on the exit, and this might upset you, especially in the wet. So if we're done here, we can have a look at some other interesting phenomena down the line. Now, you can also see again from the green graffiti or the new barrier, you start turning to the left, you see all the tire marks on the curbstones. So you actually hear like more on the middle while you're turning into the left. And I like to aim towards the end of the curb. The end of the curb is pretty much the transition point to the right curbstone. Do we take the right curb? No, absolutely not. Why is it there? To flip a Volkswagen Beetle in 1970s, if you watch that video. However, if it's wet, you do completely opposite. You stay on the outside because here is already quite a rubber-covered portion, and then you might end up, well, lose the traction. All right, we drive back all the way to the top, and yeah, we're gonna try a few different things. Like last time, try a few wrong things just to see why they're wrong. Like we can get on the curb here, do silly stuff just to see that you should not do it. And yeah, let's proceed. Alrighty, we're gonna do this one nice and slow, so yeah, we benefit from all the time. It's a straight line here, so we go to the left curb and position ourselves already for the braking zone over Schwedenkreuz on the right. So if you have a straight line, you have a nice position here. You go on the brakes and the 5 kilometer sign is a nice turning point to the left curb. The very important thing is that once you're here, you are on the gas, because if you're lifting or braking, this will unsettle your car and you will end up in the wall on the right. Stay close on the left, and end of the left curbstone is a nice braking point. So here basically. You stay left long, very long, because it's a late turn in. Almost till the end of the, at the beginning of the, there's a rumble strip, you will see that. And then you run wide. After that, you aim for a marshal post 93 on the right side, the small white sign 93, and then we need to turn around. Alright, so find a straight line from the left curb to the right curb and proceed. once you're over the crest, in the past there used to be another traffic sign that could be used as a braking point, but now you just need to find a straight line braking for yourself. And then 5 kilometer sign is the turning point to the left curb. And always look to the left, so you keep steering, stay close to the left curbstone, always be on gas and end of the curb on the brakes, and staying long left. And when the track starts steering, you also turn in to the right curb, running wide. You stay off the curb, but later in the next run we can try it to see what happens. Aim for the white sign 93 on the right, and we have to turn around again. Alright, so good news, bad news. Good news is we can do the whole section. Bad news, that's also the last time we're doing it, the full section, because we have to change to the next one. Okay, let's proceed at an easy pace. So left curb, straight line, not to the right side. 5 kilometer sign, turning point, on throttle to the left curb, keep steering left, keep staying left. Staying left, end of the curb on the brakes, staying long left. Turning to the right curbstone, to the outside, and then aim for the small white sign 93, the marshal post, in a straight line. From here, turn left and you find a straight line between the curbs. So left curb, right curb, you can aim for the 6 kilometer sign, or just left curb, right curb. End of the curb, you can start positioning for the left curb, but more importantly, you look for the right curb and you stay next to it in a straight line. Braking, end of the curb, turn in, and always be gentle on gas through here. And you position yourself back left and then to the right curb, and you already started looking for the green graffiti. And once you're there, tight turn in to the left curbstone, stay maximum left, and end of the curb, turn into the right curbstone, on the gas to the outside, and you start looking for a straight line. Left curb, right curb, and yeah. Ready. Welcome to the corner that's in the pop culture is called James Left. Unofficial internet name that's been given to this corner about like 8 years ago, because a guy crashed here and he told his passenger, James, because of the extra weight, there was so much inertia in the car that made the car understeer, that before you, I'm sorry, you're a fat bastard. Before that, I never had an issue, but once you got in the car, I crashed. So, and his mates shared the conversation on the Facebook groups, and everyone's like, are you freaking serious? So they named it James Left. Interestingly enough, this is extremely boring corner to look at, but the devil is hiding in the details. So to understand what the hell is happening here, maybe look down a bit, and then we see a nice banking. You can see actually that the car is over the banking because there's a microscopic crest happening through here. So if you become very confident and you get the line correct, the left curb, you need to actually keep on steering left as much as possible, so you end up on this side of the track, so you can take this right curbstone. Once you get the line right, you start becoming very confident. You're like, okay, I can go early on the gas, let's go all the way for the last small straightaway. But that's where the banking becomes interesting. For the rear-wheel driven cars, it can slightly upset you. And look at that, new barrier on the right. Why the hell would there be a new barrier on the right if this is such an easy section? Well, because the banking upsets the rear-wheel driven cars, so you end up there on the right. Lots of them. Although the ideal line is on the left, but lots of cars end up on the right. And that's just because of that. So it's not James who is to blame, but the fact of inability to tell that there's a small bump that can send you there. Or if you have a front-wheel driven car, again, it can send you to the outside to the left. So you can see lots of barriers on the left here that are new. I guess this is the most important feature, to say that once you aim for the left curb, you need to keep on steering left as much as possible. The corner is only at its end significantly later than when you think, and then you start turning to the right. Be prepared for the bump that can upset you, And finally, last but not least, you can see a nice shiny line. This means that this is rubber. So in the dry, very grippy. In the wet, extremely slippy. So if it would have been wet, you stay completely on the outside so you can avoid the slippy mess. And then finally here, Cullen Hart, while we're talking about things, as mentioned, stay long on the left. 8 km sign is a nice breaking point. You can even start a bit before that, and you stay very long on the left and turn in right only late. And in the wet, especially when you have the dry line, now it starts getting slippy because that section was redone in 2018, but now it starts getting slippy again. So watch out for that. And in the wet, especially because the gravity is working against you, you will have extra long distance of the braking. And yeah, don't crash here because calling emergency services is hard. That's why it's called Cullen Hart. You're ready. So an easy one. So aim for 103. Moving over to the left curbstone, you can see the shiny rubber as well. Transition to the right side. End of the right curbstone is a braking point, and you stay a bit longer right, slightly after the beginning of the left curb, and turn in. Keep on turning. Transition to the right curbstone, and you look at the 8 km sign, and that's where your next braking point is. Brake hard, stay long left, maximize the track surface, and turning in very late and tight to the right curbstone, running wide. Then you aim for the Marshall post 108. So going there, you can even use a bit of the rumble strip and then transition to the left curb and right curb. With a very fast car, it's just a lift and then on the gas again, staying on the left, braking zone, small one, turning in, miss the first curb, aim for the second one, and flat on the gas to the outside. Here's lots of grip on this section of the track, and then you position yourself maximum on the left side. Brake, let go, turn in to the right curbstone and brake again, and you can see some off banking, a dip that can really upset your ABS and send you straight into the tire wall. Left curb tight and to the right curb on the gas, and you aim usually to the 90 sign, but now we need to turn around. Notice how steep the climb is here in Weerseifen, and basically this means in reverse how big of a drop the descent is if you're coming in braking in hot. Like olé from here. Alrighty, 103 from the right side to the left curbstone. You can see the line. Important here is to be close to the curb because it's quite narrow. Flat to the outside, end of the right curb on the brakes. And left curb, keep on steering, keep tight, and transition late to the right curb to the left side. Staying left for a long time, 8 km sign on the brake, long left, late turn in, close to the curb, to the outside left, and to the fence on the right, 108. From here, lift, turn, left curbstone, right curbstone on the gas to settle the car, staying on the left side, and then miss, hit, not literally, on the gas to the outside, and running wide, staying left. Stay close left, brake, let go, turn in, right curb, brake hard, look downhill left where you want to go, close to the curb, on the gas to the right curb, and already slowing down. Ready, right side, tarmac transition, left curbstone, close to it, running wide to the right side, end of the right curb on the brakes, beginning of the left curb turning in. So brake, turning in, left curb, keep on turning, staying left side, transition to the right side, and staying left, long left, use maximum of the track surface, turning in, close to the curbstone, keep steering while the car is going to the outside. Marshall post 108, use a lot of track surface to the left curb, straight line, right curb, left side, bit on the brakes, turning in, miss the first curb, aim for the second one, flat on the gas to the outside, staying left. Again, position yourself maximum to the left side. On the brake, let go, turn in close to the curb, brake hard downhill, and turn in tight left and to the right curbstone, and watch out, we need to slow down, but usually you would aim for the 90 sign on the left. Very good, very nice, very good pace, everyone. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Bergwerk. First of all, I hope everyone's awake after a fantastic lunch. You had your coffee. So, Bergwerk could be one of the most important corners because it leads up to a very long straight, uphill, flat out, up until Mutkurve, where you, depending on the car, will be pushing close towards 250 kilometers per hour. And because of such a long straight, this means the corner before that is very important. So the entrance and exit is very, very important. This is one of the grippiest surfaces of the track because it's one of the oldest ones. You can see it by the cracks in the concrete and lots of scraping pieces on the tarmac. And at the same time, it's also the most challenging ones in the wet, because for the same reason that it's covered in rubber, you might actually feel here that your shoes are sticking on the tarmac, and we're not even speaking about about a hot day. So what do we need to do? Well, first of all, two completely different lines if it's wet or dry. That's so far we're going to go today. But in the dry, it looks like a very tight and difficult corner because it leads into nowhere and it should be very tight. Well, the thing is also very important to know is that you come here also flat out with 200 kilometers per hour if you are really committed through allow the left and you have a very good exit or entrance into Exmühle. This means you come with a lot of speed. And this corner in particular is, or let's say the braking zone, is one of the most trickiest ones. And you might see the scrapes on the tarmac. The scrapes are there because the surface is extremely bumpy. So it makes the car go bouncy bouncy. So that will upset you in the wet, but also in the dry, if you're really committed, it's going to trigger your ABS. So here, take a lot of time to get your braking point right. Because if you brake too early, you lose 1/10 of a second. If you brake too late, you lose a car. So, so that's why you need to really feel out how does the car react on the braking input on over here, if you're really pushing it. Once you get that right, in the past there was actually one more triangle traffic sign that they took out. So now you just need to guesstimate your braking point, roughly. But at the start, just before those new barriers, that's a good point. Anyway, how do we position ourselves? We go maximum to the left over here. Unless we're in the wet, then we go completely on the right. Because in the wet, of course, you want to avoid the dry, slippy line. You start braking on the left side and you stay maximum long left, just like we did in Kallenhardt previously, because a very late turn-in. And the proof of that, we can see lots of new barriers from here. For people who start turning already here, and then they realize, oh no, there's actually the corner is much later and you carry too much speed and you understeer straight into the barrier. The good reference point, there is a multiple. And just like with other corners, everyone has different line because it depends on the person, it depends on the car, it depends on the horsepower, it depends on aerodynamics, it depends on weather conditions and how much lunch you had. But the good point is always to look at 125, so the Marshall post. It's not the amount of kilometers per hour you need to be doing, it's the numbers is a Marshall post. Someone actually came to me when I was back in the days renting out cars and they said like, oh, those are the kilometers per hour you need to do. Like, yeah, try to do 186 through Galgenkopf, good luck with that. That's your first reference point where you know like, okay, I need to stay all the way till the left. There are a couple of more. For example, there's a so-called triangle. You can try staying until there and then you turn in to the right curbstone, maximum to the right. I think we can from here move on and say something there. It takes quite some time to perfect it. I mean, right now this year I'm driving a cup car, different car than I used to race last year, and even still I'm feeling out like, okay, I can go a bit later or I can turn in a bit earlier, more on the gas. The second reference point that you could use aside from the 125 or the triangle, if you really have sharp eyes, you can see the beginning of the sewage. Here you definitely need to be already aiming for the curb. The interesting thing to see here is the massive banking. And again, as we learned previously, banking helps us with the grip, with the camber, with the alignment of the car, and you can go really on the gas. If it's dry, at the curb, depending on car, maybe even before, but definitely at the curb, flat on the gas. And because again, banking, amount of rubber, lots of grip levels. You can go really early on the gas and then you will be rewarded with a good lap time because it leads up to a big straight. However, if we walk on a bit further on, here it's all clear, all is good, nothing is... You can again see the banking. The most interesting part happens over there actually, at the exit, where we have all our cars parked. So first of all, on the left we see lots of new barriers that are here because people turned in too early, and then they realize very late that they turned in too early, then they end up on the barrier. We have here sort of a curb. This is a no-no curb. Do not touch it because it upsets the car significantly and a lot. What is interesting, however, is that you have, well, camber change, and you have a quite interesting surface change. There is a small bump. When you look from here, you can see sort of a jump. If your exit is good enough, your car will actually jump. That's not a big of a problem, but it becomes a problem when it's slightly wet, or if your car has way too much horsepower and you don't have good enough tires, not enough aero, and then for some reason there's a straight, but on the right side there are lots of new barriers. Because again, you jump, you lose traction, but you're thinking like, oh, I have a long straight ahead, my car will be fine, and then you unexpectedly lose traction and you're in the barrier. Luckily there's a safety pocket because Nürburgring has lots of experience that there's going to be lots of accidents, so yeah, there's a safety pocket on the right. So two things: jump that can upset you in the dry conditions with too much power, etc., etc., or vice versa. If you are driving in the wet, you're trying to avoid the dry line, which goes from here to here, but if you're coming from the outside of the track, you want to go again on the outside. Basically, you will be ending up at some point on the dry line, even if you're driving the wet. Does it make sense? So in the wet, you stay on the outside by avoiding the dry line, but once you come here, you will be crossing the dry line. This means you're going to have lots of grip, loss of grip over here. And the same thing is going to happen. So this part, although it looks easy because you think like, I've done one of the most important and challenges corners, no problem, there's a straight, let's go flat on the gas, and then you end up in the wall. So always wait until the car is settled. And from here it's actually pretty easy and straightforward. You usually aim for the 11-kilometer sign on the right, and there's a triple left-hander. You can aim on the curbs, on the grass, and yeah, from there on we'll pick it up while we drive. Alrighty, let's position ourselves, and we're gonna take it extra easy first couple of rounds because there are a few interesting things I'd like to explain to you. Alrighty, so also here, as always, we have a nice straight, so we're gonna use as much of the tarmac as possible, almost on the grass, on the brakes, and turning into the left curbstone and running wide. What you need to keep in mind is here's a tarmac brake, like there's a line, doink doink, that's where I went over it, and there are a few of them, because this is actually a bridge that goes over the public road. The thing is, when you're going full send, your car is loaded, and you go over it, it actually unsettles the car slightly. So this is what makes people crash when you just go over these tarmac breakages. Here you stay on the left, and then transition over to the right. Important is that you stay long on the left because there is some off camber happening, and that can unsettle you too much if you turn in too early to the right. Stay long on the right, and then this is a flat out corner to the left, pretty much with any car, unless it's wet of course, or your car is really badly set up. You will end up in the middle, and then you go over to the left and start braking towards 125, where Bernard is standing making videos. And shortly after, turning in to the right, to the curb, to the white sign, white line, and to the outside, staying longer left. You will feel the bump. You will probably, there is a tarmac transition, you can probably feel it. And then we go towards 11-kilometer sign and start closing the radius. So going to the left again, there is a nice rumble strip that you can go over if you want to. You count the curbs. So this is the first one where I am. 1, number 2, you can go straight over it. And number 3, you usually don't use it, but you could. Here, another important point, to be maximum on the right, so you have an easier turn into the left. And also this corner, pretty much with any car you can take flat. Like with this car I'm driving right now, I think the speeds are about 237 kilometers per hour on the dash. It's possible, not necessarily possible. Alright, let's do the whole thing again. Now I'd like you to increase the pace through the corner, so you can feel how the car reacts when you go through this tarmac cut before the Brightside Bridge under load. So whatever you feel comfortable at the pace you're going, just so you can feel that the car actually skips over there. And then the same goes for the Bear Creek entrance and exit. So pick up the pace and let's go. Once you're at the curb, you go on the gas to the outside, watch out for cold tires. The car starts jumping much more severe now. Focus on the exit, how the car is going to jump out of it. So we do again the same thing, but try to follow the car ahead of you a bit closer, but only as close as is comfortable for you. And at the same time, while reading the road for yourself, see how the car ahead of you reacts to the surface, because that's very interesting to see. Okay, welcome to a very interesting point. The biggest change of 2026. Up until this year, there was a piece of fake grass here. I know a lot of things, important things, factual things, and random things about the Nürburgring, but I have no clue who decided and why they put fake grass here. And for the same reason, no one knows why they took it away. Well, probably because it was very slippery, so they took it away. So that's very good. In the past, you could not use this as a runoff area. Nowadays you could actually, but it might be scary because you're coming very close to the barrier. They actually moved the barrier from over there to over here. You might ask the question, why would you move the barrier closer? Because isn't that more dangerous? No, they actually found out that with lots of momentum coming out of the carousel and through here, and especially GT3 cars and Cup cars, if they would lose it here, they would slide too much over the grass and they would flip over the barrier into the forest. So they realized if they can reduce the distance traveled to start the impact here already, they can catch the car and not have any big accidents. When you think about it, it makes sense. But yeah, of course, everyone else complains about the fact that Nürburgring just want you to crash and pay for the barrier. No, that's not the thing. Anyway, this is all fine and dandy and all nice. Also actually very grippy. You could use it, just keep in mind that there's a small drop off, so you could have a little loss of traction. So you maybe need to open up the steering wheel half an angle. But to be honest, even me with racing, I used it only unintentionally when I just carry lots of speed through it, but yeah, you don't gain too much. The most exciting part starts over there. So, okay, now one thing that you can start looking at is this curbstone. Because you're coming, depending on the car, you can take it almost pretty much flat completely, but usually you at least lift through there before you're coming in here, but you're coming with quite a high speed, 5th gear, depending on the gearing. It's good to start braking at this curbstone. That's a nice reference point to go relatively good on the brakes. And important is to stay long side on the right, almost till the end of the curb. Still nothing exciting here. It's all fine and dandy. You brake on the right side in a straight line. All is easy. This is the part that separates the men from the boys and the ones who know the track and are committed and make lots of speed and lap times here. The thing is, there's lots of gradient, so the track goes uphill, and that essentially A is slowing you down, B is giving you lots of traction because most of your cars, the traction is on the back wheels and you have extra traction on the back. This is a left-hander, obviously, followed by a right-hander, and then sort of runoff area to the left as well. And that's where it gets tricky. So first of all, here, it's important to stay quite long on the right side, just like an Adenauer Forst, that we didn't get to try a lot today, that you can position yourself maximum on the left side of this curbstone. Because here you're still under braking or coasting or trail braking to the left side, but from there you're flat back to the right side if you're committed and you're confident and etc. But all the race cars, you just floor it there. So it's important to scrub off speed, but not too much, and position maximum to the left. And from here you actually only steer with the throttle input and not with the brakes or steering. Yeah, steering yes, but more with the throttle to make the more grip on the front axle, yes or no. But this is where it gets very tricky as well. So first of all, you may understeer into the grass. That's not the biggest issue. But the biggest challenge happens actually where the cars are parked on the right side. So for that, maybe we should walk a bit more further. So the main thing that I always try to do is, I wouldn't say sacrifice, but really focus on the first turn in to position the car good here. Because if you position good here, you can gain a lot of time over there. Because if you're wrong here, you're gonna either be on the grass or you need to correct yourself to the left, and then you're already still correcting to the left and you need to go back to the right. It's gonna be a mess. So really focus on this first point, that you're actually, if you look from here, we're having a straight. All of a sudden we're having a straight line. So it goes straight. And there is a white dot, but you turn in slightly later. The problem becomes here again is when you look, there's a lots of off camber and gradient changes that go from banking to here, to banking to there, and then you have another bump on the left. So the car always, if you do everything by the book, braking slightly, flat on the gas through here, you'll be carrying so much momentum that the car will jump while you're moving over to the left side. So open the steering wheel, be prepared that the car will jump and move over to the left, and you might have to take the curb. But if you're not prepared and you're keeping the steering wheel on the same angle, the car jumps and then you end up on the right side. Lots of things we can say about the wet line here, because again, lots of upsetting factors. But the biggest issue that happens is really on the transition to the right. It's because of lots of elevation changes and differences. So I would say here also, like with the previous section, my group, I asked them to follow the car ahead and look what the suspension geometry is doing from that car to get a better understanding how the car is behaving. So also here we're gonna do the same, so you can see like, oh, it's actually moving a lot. So yeah, be prepared for the top, for the offset. But since we have a very weird early turning point, we won't be sending too hard through here, I would say. it. Let's go. So, first, we approach a mood curve, the corner of courage. The question is, how courageous are you through here? The main thing is, move over to the right side, you start braking already way before, and end of the curb, you turn into the left curb in a smooth transition. Try to go now actually almost on the grass, because you will see that there is a bit of concrete, as you can see what I'm doing, so you can feel it out, so you're not scared to touch the grass. Then you transition to the left, same story here. Here's a bit of concrete, you could take it, and in a smooth direction, be important to be close to the curbstone, and you run wide to 138, the left fence. Then you go towards the middle, so you can position yourself straight for the hard braking zone here into Schuderia. And you stay left until the end of the curb, and late and tight turn into the right curbstone. You see what the black markings are, and you run wide to the left. Important here to know is that here's a jump at the exit where I am right now, so be prepared for that. You aim for the right side of the fence ahead of you, the white sign 143. Go on the brakes here, and you tip into the carousel while already steering. Important is to stay on the concrete blades completely, and about here where I am, you go already early on the gas for a perfect jump out. And important to keep the steering wheel straight, otherwise you might go in the wrong direction on landing. Aim for the white sign 145, transition to the right curbstone, and shortly after the curb you start steering to the left, and you are looking or thinking of the right side of the track, the orange barrier, because it's a blind one, so you need to visualize the track. As mentioned here, at the curb you go on the brake, turning in left tight, and by the end of the curb transition to the right side. Just by lifting you turn in, and you end up on the left side, but here is traffic, so we want to watch out. Very well done. I'm so proud of you guys. Fantastic. Let's try to do it once again. You're ready. Same thing all over again. Let's go, let's go. Important here is again to practice your position. It's not important the speeds we're doing, but that you have understanding of track dimensions. So try to go even on the curb, just so you feel out how not scary that is. Then left side, and again run wide, use whole track surface so you feel the momentum and the steering angle. And then left side where the LED sign is, and transition to the right side, very close to it. Then back to the middle, so you can position yourself straight for the straight line braking into Schuderia. Late turn in, close to the curb, and usually you go early flat on the gas because it's a very high grip zone here. Watch out for the jump. Going straight, staying on the right side, dipping into the carousel, staying on the concrete bits. Jumping out. I like to say, make sure that the right corner of the concrete plate is in the middle of your car. That is a good reference point. Right curb, at the end of it to the left curb. Envision the track in your mind where it goes, because it's a blind high-speed corner. At the right curb on the brakes, let go, turn in tight to the curbstone, and transition to the right side, run over to the left side, but traffic, so end of the fun. Alrighty, let's proceed. Focus on maximizing the track width and the smoothness of the steering inputs. Close to it, Okay, happy everybody made it. You got your breath, all good? Fantastic. We are in Eschbach. It almost starts getting boring from here after all the exciting hidden gems that we've experienced so far, but it's still going to be exciting and interesting. The first thing to mention, I mean, of course, we have the Wippermann curb beforehand. That's very exciting when you go over it and with wheels almost on the dirt and the grass. But the hard reality is taking curb or no curb, lap time wise, the difference might be like 0.05 or 0.1 seconds. So does it really matter? Maybe if you're really fighting for the top overall, but you can unset much more with your car by coming in wrongly. So the main thing is when you take the curb, commit and be prepared for the landing. Then you come to the bottom of the compression of the straight and you brake tiny bit, because again here we have a nice hill, steep hill uphill that will slow your car down through the gravity and give you also much more traction on your back wheels, or even if you're front wheel driven car, it will stabilize the car. And you can turn in very tight to this curbstone, the right curb if you're coming from there, obviously. Now this over here is my favorite section of the track, because for the ones who know that it exists and that there is even more beyond rumblestones, such as an old concrete plate, it will allow you to overtake the car that has been annoying you the other corners beforehand. Because most people stay kind of here, and you can position the full car here. So it's possible, it's doable, but also with my group, where I focus on the track usage.
There are new barriers there, no?
Yeah, but that's for people who run too wide.
Okay.
Exactly.
You see the tire marks, maybe that's the outmost.
Yeah, but he aimed directly for the other concrete. You see? So whoever drove here, fantastic driving, because he went straight on the concrete, on the stones there. Yeah, exactly. But yeah, as mentioned, with our group, we will focus on the track dimensions, so you get comfortable that it's not scary to be here, not scary to be here, and even okay to be here, as long as you know what you're doing with your steering. Then comes actually quite a tricky bit. We have Eschbach. The good reference point is the actual sign, Eschbach, tada. From here the track starts going downhill and it becomes extra sensitive on braking in general in the dry, because while they're going uphill it helps you. Here it actually works against you, especially in the wet. The braking distance increases significantly compared to other sections of the track where it is wet but relatively flat, because the gravity is pulling you down over there. One time, 2019 VLN, before it was named NLS, I was driving M240 Cup car, essentially the same car as this, and my ABS failed in the wet here. So that was fun to slide all the way towards the barrier, but then last moment caught it. That was fun. In any case, before the Eschbach sign, that's also a nice reference point for the turning to the left. It might feel too early, but it all depends on the speeds that you're doing and the configuration of the car. Because one of the earlier days when I was here doing driver instruction, receiving driving instruction, the instructor said, "Look at this picture of Kevin Estre doing a lap record." I'm like, fuck me, how can you compare us to the Kevin Estre? But okay, he's of course going extremely faster, and you have early turn-in because the car is understeering to the outside, so you compensate with a very early turn-in by turning in early there. Another thing that the GT3 driver, race car driver, has given me another tip is, this is a very long left-hander, but you're staying on the right side. So while you're on the right side, you look already to the left. Where is the left? Where do I want to be? I mean, it's the basics of driving a car. You look where you want to be, but here you don't see where you want to be. So you need to use your imagination. And then you stay on the left curbstone. The car will run wide slightly, and then you go back to the left side. That's kind of, it's mostly the blind things that you do not see that you need to use to your advantage here, such as the extra runoff area over here, and also the very fast left-hander over there. You just need to know the track. There is very little things that can mess you up, I would say, in terms of yeah, bumps, jumps, or whatever. It's just the trajectory.
I absolutely agree. For me,
The only interesting, exciting part starts there at Brunchen, so I guess we just go there. Okay, the technical, interesting part. As mentioned previously, for many people the track consists out of 73 corners. For me it consists out of many straights that you just need to link to each other. So here's one straight for the braking position, because we brake in a straight line. So when you come out of there, make sure your car is positioned straight next to the line. Once you see it's being straight, that's your good point. You could take the rumble strip on the left, but then you need to get off the rumble strip, so it might be a bit complicated. But if you're somehow running wide, it's possible, but not ideal. The spicy thing starts on the right, over there. And that is because of the elevation change. So here you have the first turn-in into Brunchen 1, because we of course also have Brunchen 2. So you start braking somewhere here-ish at the end, or slightly before the end of the curb, and the end of the triangle, or however you want to call it, or the tarmac transition, that's a nice point for the turn-in. However, we have an issue here. Well, let's say a challenge. We have a drop. So if you go too early, you release the brakes too much, and you go early on the gas because you came in too slow and you need to compensate, you lift. Or if you come in too fast and you turn in, the car will dip and jump. This can have multitude of effects. One of them could be your wheels are in the air and you start understeering, and then it falls down and you understeer straight into the barrier. Happens, especially if your car has no ABS. It's extra sensitive over here. Other point is if you dip in too late and your back wheel actually is still in the air, and then it has no traction, and then you go on the gas and then you land, you spin out and you end up on the right side. So that's why there are lots of new barriers as well as on the left as on the right. So what do you need to do? Be cautious, be easy, be chilled, and be aware that there's a lot of runoff area on the left side. If you really want to, you can even go on the grass. That's how smooth it is there. You shouldn't, but it's not unusual that you see some silly Touristenfahrten action where people pass someone on the grass there, or even in the racing. All I'm getting at is that be very calculated through this section. Not too much on the gas, not too much on the brake. Turn in and go. And now a little bit of history lesson. So for that, we need to come over here. Yeah. So one of the saddest parts for me of being young or born late is that I didn't witness the Nordschleife pre-1967. Not only did we not have barriers before, but also we had a jump from here over there, if you can look on my phone. So this section continued going on the same angle, and then you would have a jump over there. For some reason, someone decided that that was too dangerous, and they made it more flat there. That's a bit sad. Yeah, yeah. But you see lots of, if you just Google later, Brunchen F1, you will see all the F1 cars from the 60s flying there. And yeah, still getting goosebumps. It's pretty cool. From here, the only thing that I can tell you, because I guess we'll be kind of slowing down there already for the turnaround area. It's a very tricky section there because for some reason that corner over there has not been resurfaced, but the part after that has been resurfaced all the way to Flansgaren 2. What I'm getting at is that that is a very old part, and this is a relatively new part. So in the wet, it's extra slippery because you have a lots of rubber exactly on that part there. So you might be having lots of grip through there, and you turn in, there you need to take the wet line, because if you take the dry line, you end up in the barriers. But yeah, that's not something we need to worry about today. Breaking point, you see sort of the curb getting dark and black. That is the breaking point. You stay longer on the left and you look into the barrier on the right. That's where you aim towards and go pretty much very close to it. And on the gas to the outside. That's kind of it. I would say this is the most challenging part. So use the straight line as a reference point to position yourself. The end of the tarmac triangulation as a turning point. Feel out on the first couple of passes what your front axle is doing as you turn in, what your rear axle is doing as you're dipping in, running wide, and yeah, let's have some fun.
I think so. I'll drive it.
Yeah.
Let's go. Thank you very much.
Thank you. All right, once everyone's ready, we just gonna go very slowly like the previous times. The first couple of passes we go very slowly so you can see the reference points, so you can go really off the track pretty much if you have to, so you feel out the track dimensions, and then we will increase the pace. Right, I believe we are all complete, so let's go. The thing you aim at here is the orange barrier on the left. That's your reference point, and you start going towards there. Depending on your car, you either brake a bit or lift before turning in close to the curbstone. You turn in and you position yourself more on the right side, because from here you do go on the brakes. Relatively smooth, and then from here on you only use your throttle to turn in. So you lift through here, so the car positions itself. You can take the curb maximum, and you aim for the left side, left fence 158, and be maximum on the left. In the bottom of compression, you go on the brakes to then turn in. So it's just a gentle tap on the brake. And here now again, try to use maximum of the track just to feel out how much wide you can go. Going to Eschbach, usually on the brakes, and turn in relatively early, close to the curb, and look downhill left where you want to be. And remember, white line being straight, so you can position yourself for the straight line braking. Brake, end of triangulation, you're going to the curb and running wide. Again, here we can over exaggerate if you want to. And then back on the right. Usually you go on the brakes and tarmac transition, turning in close to the curb and running wide. Voila! Very good use of the track. Let's do the whole thing again, and after that we can increase the pace. So try to get on the left curbstone. What I want you to feel is how not even this is, how bumpy it is. What I'm getting at is once you get onto this section, because you can run where you see the right wheels of mine, you can use that as a runoff, no problem. But if you go on the left one, see how bumpy it is. So if you enter that section, your car will start understeering massively because your wheel is being just like launched in the air. So do not use that as a runoff unless, well, just be prepared if you have to use that for whatever reason. What's going to happen is that you need to open up the steering wheel. All right, we turn around. Feel free to feel out the track, dimensions, differences as we go back, and then we do the whole thing all over again. Compliments to the whole team. I saw in my mirror that everyone, although we had increased pace, everyone was using the track dimensions very nicely. So very good job on that. Woohoo! As we're turning around, same thing all over again. envision the track. Orange barrier left, lift to the right side, position more right, on the brakes for the left curbstone, turning in over the right curb to the left fence 158 at the fence on the brake, turn in close to the curb. Once you're at the curb, you can go almost flat on the gas, or you can go flat on the gas, but if you're confident enough. Run wide to the right side, brake, turn in, double left-hander, straight white line on the brakes and turn in. Right, let's go. Orange barrier. So, turning in close to the curb, on the brakes, turning in close to the left curb, lift on the right curb, gas to the left fence, at the fence on the brakes. Let go, turn in close to the curb, on the gas, running wide, and back to the right side, on the brakes, and left curbstone, close to the curb, and back to the left side, straight line, white line braking, let go, turning in, right curbstone, running wide. Very good. I think you might have felt your car sliding a bit as we descended down over the hill. In that case, you know how unsettling this section is. Okay, last few passes. As mentioned, I suggest I will be quiet now and everyone just focuses on their own driving and not my voice. And yeah, because this is your last opportunity of the sector training to do things very slow. You can go under free driving also slow, but I do not recommend you because you might be in the way of other people. I want to say a massive thank you to everyone, to my colleagues, instructors for great vibes, but also to all the participants for being such a great group, for literally following what we're doing, our lines. I think progression was there also quite nice. We took it easy and progressed into faster, and I hope most importantly that people learned something and that everyone felt comfortable and not forced to push. I think that's the main thing. And I had lots of fun, so I'd like to do it more often because I don't feel like I'm in danger.
Yeah, that's good. Thank you.
Okay, so from here you turn to the left curbstone and run wide. There is a new curbstone at exit ice curve that you can take. The only thing important is when you land, be extra cautious, especially in the wet. Then ahead of us is fence 169, that's where you aim towards, and then towards the left curb and left curb. Try to find ideal straight lines so you can position yourself already for the jump. And you brake before the jump and after the jump, and then turn in close to the right curbstone. Try to imagine the track already ahead of you because it's a long, blind right-hander. You position yourself in the middle, start turning already to the left curbstone, watch out for the crest, running wide, and then the end of the right curbstone, you turn in already to the left curb. Look downhill to the left side, sign 176 is a nice turning point to the right curbstone. From here you go straight, left curb and right curb, and you can use the track to run wide over the left rumble strips if you want to. And then going straight. As mentioned previously, on the right orange barrier, braking point, and you brake straight and then let go and start turning. Right curb and you look far ahead on the right. End of the curb, turning point to the left curbstone and you run wide to the right curb. On the right side, you will see black marks on the curbstone, that's your braking point. And before the end of the curb, you turn in. Unlike the big carousel, here you come very close to the curbstone and watch out with jumping out. I like to say that your left wheel, front left wheel, needs to be at the right corner of the concrete plate. Before the end of the curb, turn in to the right curbstone, run very wide, watch out for the bumpy surface here. And then the fence 186 is the turning point to the right curbstone. And once you're at the right curb, if your car is decently set up, you can go already flat on the gas. Alrighty, we turn around and do the whole thing again. Alright, off we go. We'll try to increase the pace slightly. Alright, so left curbstone, then to the right curb. You can take it, watch out coming down, especially rear-wheel driven cars, that upsets the cars. Aim for the fence on the right 169, then left curb and straight line. Brake a bit before, let go, brake again, and turn in to the right curb. And we caught up with the other group already. So right curbstone, middle of the track, left curb, and let the car run wide to the right curbstone. End of the curb, gentle turn in to the left curb. Watch out with clipping it, because that can upset the car a lot. Before the end of the curb, turn in, right curbstone. Middle of the track towards the left curbstone, try to find a straight line, memorize it with your muscle memory. Orange barrier on the right is a nice braking point, straight to the pole ahead of you, and then let go so you can turn into the right curbstone and keep right, keep right, keep right. End of the curb, turn in to the left curbstone and running wide to the right side. Black marks on the right curbstone, that's your braking point. So here and before you turn in, and tight turn in, close to the curb. Stay longer in, because the earlier you jump out, the more you upset the car. You can see the tarmac transition, so that's the braking point, and before the end of the curb, turn in. It's always, here it's tricky to be not too much on the brake, because you can make your car understeer. So yeah, then to the right curbstone, and usually flat on the gas to the outside. You can even use the rumble strips like I do, that if you're really on it, but usually completely unnecessary. One final thing to mention for rear-wheel driven cars, if we would have our straight open, lots of accidents happen actually here on the left when the drivers commit overconfidently and go flat on the gas, seeing a big straight ahead of them, and then they lose traction and actually, well, end up on the right side in the barrier. Alrighty, everyone is there. Let's do the same thing all over again. So left curbstone, right curbstone. If you get on, make sure to watch out when you get off. Aiming for the fence on the right, 169, and from the fence start turning to the left curb and left curb. Position yourself in a straight line. At these speeds you can just brake after, let go, turn in, running wide, back to the right curb and to the middle of the track. Watch out for the crest, especially rear-wheel driven cars, do not upset the rear axle. To the right side, end of the curb, turning in to the left curbstone. 176 white sign, turn in to the right curbstone, look far ahead, imagine the track going right and left, but you're finding the straight line. Right curbstone, left side, then you move over to the middle of the track at the orange barrier on the right on the brakes. Brake straight, look far ahead on the right, close to the right curb. If you need to run wide, you can, but try to get back to the right, turning in to the left curb and running wide to the right. Black marks on the curb, braking point, end of the mark, turning in, close to the curbstone, stay longer left and flat on the gas, usually, maybe not now. Turn left, tarmac transition, gently brake before the end of the curb, turn in. Turning in, close to the curb, run very wide, almost to the edge of the track. 186 fence, turning point to the right curb. Once you're at the right curb, you can go flat on the gas to the outside, run wide, and back to the right side. And that's it. The end. Maybe lap-wise it doesn't really make sense because we still have a bit to go to the end of the lap, but this is how our sectors were divided. As mentioned just now, I had a lot of fun. Like, this was so cool to see the progression of people, the engagement, see them following our lines, and me sharing the knowledge, because that is for me what I really loved about being here. When I just came to the Nürburgring, my main job was instructing, and that was just like so, it's indescribable feeling when someone is progressing and becoming better and like starting to love the whole thing much more and wants to do the next step. And that's what I'm seeing here now. All right, let's go back, have some snacks, some drinks, and maybe we'll do a faster narration full lap in a separate video. But I loved it. And you guys, check out Scuderia S7. There is one more course later in the year. No problem. I'm getting new glasses anyway. So let's go. Proper sign that I'm tired. They didn't scratch. That's good.